stay in the United States, or from either Mexico.
Yeah, I wanted to add, it's a misunderstanding, like the South and the North here in the music. And I work in the community first, and I wrote the health programs, and the people that migrate here is very healthy. They don't use drugs. They don't even smoke. So the people, the American people, see Mexican drugs. That's something that we don't want to reinforce. We want to know that, okay, there's a situation. The people that came here is to work, is for a need, not to be in the drug system. They came here from working and to bring money to the families. There's another reality, the people here, and they are the strong ones. And they are, the people that Mexico needs to progress as a country, because they are here working. So the situation is a misunderstanding. So I hope that it's open and understand the people that we are here for work, not for dealing some people, but not for that. This generation is working, and the music is something universal. That's why we want to support that kind, that the music don't matter where you come, you have a contact with the culture, you know the people, so don't attack them. So that's something very important, to enhance the Mexican culture. We have a history, so know us, know our culture, our songs, our food, so you don't kill me, and you accept me. So that's it.
There was a question.
Sí, bueno, mi pregunta es si, dada la evidente relación entre desigualdades sociales y que empujan las migraciones, esas migraciones masivas y que también empujan hacia la economía irregular, hacia la economía del tráfico de drogas, dentro de las políticas antinarcóticas alternativas no se contempla la posibilidad de revisar el NAFTA, los tratados de libre comercio que pasan encima de los derechos laborales, que permiten un mínimo de estándar de vida para la gente en ambos lados de la frontera?
I'm sorry, my Spanish is not quite good enough to understand.
The question was that, given the inequalities in Mexico that inspired people to migrate on such a massive basis, has there been any attention to looking to revise NAFTA, which deals with products and trade of goods, but completely overlooks the issue of labor and the rights of workers?
You know, I think that's sometimes discussed, and I know that with respect to the Caribbean and with respect to Colombia, that actually has been a political issue with governments arguing that the United States should provide the assistance because that would change the conditions for people who have economic incentives to be involved in drugs. You know, I would argue that may be a good thing to do in its own right, but I don't think it'll make that much difference on the drug trafficking. There's just simply too many people, maybe in Mexico and sometimes, but there's just so many people all around the world who are poor, and for whom the risk assessment of essentially saying I can make in one risky trip enough money that as I would make in a few years for smuggling these balloons or in my belly across or what have you, and if I fail, then maybe I will spend 5 or 7 years behind bars, but will have 3 square meals and be apart from my family, as I might have been anyway if I had to emigrate. So I think that no amount of economic development will ultimately really have an impact. And then the other thing, of course, is that, one of the principal producers in the world right now of marijuana and of methamphetamine is the United States. And we're one of the most economically developed countries. So you have pockets of poverty, you have people even who are not poor who would prefer this choice as well. So I don't think ultimately, when people look in Bolivia or Colombia or Afghanistan and say, let's provide economic development so that the farmers don't engage in this, I think the impact will be at best negligible. And that if it does succeed in a local area, it just shifts the growing to someplace else. So economic development for its own sake, but as a solution to the drug production and trafficking, I don't think that important.
Bueno, 2 preguntas. Una para los compañeros, y yo soy mexicana, de descendencia mexicana, y me interesa escuchar la experiencia que ustedes tienen trayendo la música de México. ¿Qué mensaje tienen para los jóvenes de mi edad? Yo tengo 26 años, soy nacida aquí en Chicago y me encontré con un conflicto de identidad durante un tiempo que por ese mismo estigma, discriminación de inmigración, me daba un poco de trabajo, aceptar mi identidad mexicana. Entonces, para ustedes, ¿qué mensaje tienen hacia los jóvenes como yo? And I also wanted to add so the North American Trade Agreement doesn't really, the drug policy agenda doesn't think that the North American Trade Agreement has an effect or involves Mexico's drug trafficking problem with the lack of labor policy. Is that what you said? I'm sorry. I'm just like, if you can just like, I think your question was a little too big in terms of like, I'm especially interested in like what goes on in Mexico at the moment,
Maybe we could just translate your first question, which was interesting because you're 26 years old, Mexican, but grew up in Chicago and struggled also with your own cultural identity and discrimination. And so she was asking, I believe, primarily Los Inmigrantes del Sur, what is their message to young people? So maybe we can start with them and then we can, just in the order in which the questions were asked.
Pues mire, el mensaje que les podemos dar es que pues estudien, si están aquí, ¿verdad? Que estudien, que le echen ganas, que salgan adelante, ¿sí? Porque si están aquí, vinieron por un propósito, ya que Dios les dio licencia de llegar aquí, pues el mensaje para todos es que estudien, que le echen ganas, que progresen, ¿sí? Que se preparen bien para que pues al menos salgan adelante y no estén como nosotros, pues aquí en la música, ¿verdad?
The message is to study and to get ahead, and he said not to be like us the musicians, pero con la música, o sea, es muy importante la música. Y bueno, estamos muy agradecidos por su presencia y participación en este evento.
Yeah, the basic point was that whatever happens with NAFTA has ultimately relatively little impact on the flow of drugs from Mexico, through Mexico to the United States.
On that note, I know we've covered a range of issues, and it's one of many dialogues. I'd like to, first of all, have a big round of applause for all the speakers. And for all of you, and I'd like to invite Clara Naveso, our co-founder of What Moves You, to offer some closing remarks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Just quickly, Shamina and I initiated the idea of just having a big conversation about this a while back, and that's how we found Carlos, and that's how we found Clax, and really we're just interested in knowing what everybody thinks about these issues and getting the story out. I think what you said is so important. We're both of Mexican-American background, and we feel that these issues are very little understood in this country, and so these problems, which are so huge, cannot really be dealt with until people understand a little more behind it, and specifically the humanity, I think, behind so much of this. And what we hope is that this will begin a platform that everyone can take with them, that if any of you are interested in this dialogue continuing, that you will find places where that can happen. We would like to help. We will have an updated website probably within the week, which is Indocumentales.com, where you can see these conversations. They will be continuing throughout the summer and perhaps the year at different locations, and then there will be a blog. So anything that you think is important to say, any questions that come up later, we're hoping that that can be a platform for more conversation to happen. So this is just the beginning, and we're so excited that you all came, and we hope to continue this conversation. Thank you so much. And there's food and drink outside. And music, right? And music, yes. Stay for music.